If you had to tell one story that summed up who you were as a person, who you are for sure as a person, tell that story.
When I wake up every morning, I try and be more efficient than I was yesterday, and I try and be less of a piece of shit than I was yesterday. So if I can get answers to those two questions, I come out a better person at the end of it.
You can't put people in buckets, right? We all are a culmination of our experiences in our past and stuff like that, but we all have a brain, which kind of makes it hard for us to put anyone in a bucket because everyone is vastly different.
Welcome to No Universal Answers to the Universe, a video podcast and interview series with Taylor Hall and Kenneth Givens. Tonight, our guest is Alex Jackson. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
How are you doing this morning, Alex?
Doing pretty well. Pretty well. First time I've woken up in a while. Woken up early in a while. So this is a nice feeling. I'm waking up before everybody else. Before the house moves.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Oh yeah. If you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself to us. Tell us kind of what you've been up to for the last couple of years. In school and stuff like that, but also in your personal life and the hobbies you've been getting into.
All right. My name is Alexander Jackson. Close friends and family, sometimes family, call me Alex. I'm an IT major at Georgia Southern University, the greatest university in the land.
Hail Southern.
Hail Southern. Just so y'all know, I as a hobby, I stream. I am the creator of Plug-in Players on Twitch and YouTube. So I do that. I manage that. I also build PCs for a hobby. So if you ever need a PC, come to your boy. But yeah, I am 24 years old.
Okay.
Keep forgetting my age, man. It's after you hit 22, that's it for you.
I completely agree there. As a true statement for me, since I travel a lot, 25 was a big year because then you can like rent cars on your own and you don't have to pay all that extra stuff, and then also your insurance drops. So
man, I'm looking forward to that milestone.
Yeah,
a little less than a year.
There you go.
And that's something. When you get to a certain age, and you're like, man, I just can't wait for the insurance to drop.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I wasn't looking forward to this at 21. Yeah, I wasn't excited about this at 21.
Yeah, like you could care less. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much going on. I'm a senior at Georgia Southern, so this is my last lap. So
there you go. So with the IT stuff, and you said you build computers and stuff like that. So do you consider yourself to be more of a hardware guy, more of a software guy, or do you like both?
If you asked me this question about 3 years ago, I would say strictly hardware. Because that's all I knew at the time. That's when I built my first computer. I had a mentor / best friend. Everybody's my best friend, but I had a friend that showed me the ropes.
Okay.
A few friends that showed me the ropes and helped me build my PC. So I was like, this is what I want to do. This is beautiful. I love this. I want to do more of this. That wasn't until I went to my internship with Norfolk Southern, and my mentor there just like opened my eyes. He was like, you need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know this. And that's important in this world. And if you're going to survive out here. I was like, okay, cool. So he put me onto some PowerShell, and like he drilled that into my head. He was like, 1 week he'd be like, all right, I need you to have this code working for me to use by the end of the week. I'm like, I don't have any resources or anything. You need to figure it out. You're an IT major. You need to go ahead and do this. You need to be able to figure stuff out on your own, and then also consult your associates if need be. So after learning some PowerShell, I'm not a master yet, and if he saw this podcast, he'd probably be a little upset at me because I haven't touched PowerShell in probably a few months. I do realize the importance of both hardware and software, and I definitely appreciate both. I love both. If you made me choose, twisted my arm, I'd probably choose hardware because I just love messing with new parts and everything.
Very, very mechanical stuff like that, putting together
Yeah.
parts and pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Taylor, are you still using the computer that you built?
I think the one I brought over to your house last time, the one looks like the toaster oven.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so, so over the years, I'm gonna ask both of you these questions because I've never built a computer before. I have taken apart a PlayStation and an Xbox and put it back together, and I fixed the three rings of death on a 360. So that's my claim to fame as far as putting stuff together. Computers, not so much. So how many computers have you guys put together over the years and built? We'll start with Alex.
Put together and built. I'd say probably about 4 or 5.
Was this for people? Was this for profit, or was this just personal? You built it for yourself.
A little bit of all 3 actually.
Okay.
Obviously personal for myself first starting out. Then you get upgrades. So I was like, all right, I have parts. Let me go ahead and use this for something else, or put them away for something else.
Mhm.
I had a friend come up to me. He was like, hey man, I really need a computer. Or I heard him talk about how he needed a computer. I'm like, well, I have spare parts. If you want to just get the parts that I don't have, then you can do that. I'll sell them to you or whatever. That ended up turning into you can just have them. I'm not really going to use them. Then over the years, I've acquired more parts and whatnot. So and helped people build their own PCs. Y'all had KD Lemons on at one time.
Yeah.
I helped build his. I built his computer.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean,
and he didn't even give you a shout out when he was using it on the podcast.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. He talks to me about his computer every now and then. He's like, man, I love this computer. I haven't even heard him mention an upgrade yet. So that means I'm doing really well.
That's good. What about you, Taylor?
2 computers. The one I've got now and the one that I built. I forget what year at camp, but I actually had everything shipped to the camp address, and parts started piling up in the back office. And I would just get the weirdest looks when I'm just like working next to a stack of graphics cards and power supplies and stuff. That was fantastic.
So Taylor, would you consider yourself more of a hardware guy or software guy?
Definitely more of a software guy, and I don't know if it was really my choice at a certain point, because I've started out programming, and that puts me on the software side.
Right.
But when I went to UNC Charlotte to start my CS degree, they actually delegated computer science was software and computer engineering was hardware, and they were 2 completely separate degree programs. I would have had to take a minor and extra math classes to even touch hardware on the academic level. So since that was a step removed, I never really even had a chance to learn it.
So you said extra math classes, like just generic math classes, or like specific, like MATLAB or something like that?
I didn't look too far into it. I only took Calculus to Calc 2, and I knew it at least needed Calc 3 and a couple of discrete and linear math classes that I didn't take.
Oh, so it's just your basic standard engineering math classes, because like every engineering program requires you to take like what is it? Alex, you can help me out here. Derivatives. You got to take what's it called?
Linear. Linear algebra. Just a lot of, not discrete math, but
it starts with a D. Yeah, DiffEq. Yeah, differential equations. Yeah, yep. That's the one I was trying to get to. Yeah. So like, I think basic engineering requires you to do that. So if they called it computer engineering, that's probably why they made you pick those math classes up. Which, by the way, is crazy, because differential equations is not going to help you put together a computer.
Now, I think it dug even into like building circuit boards, soldering stuff yourself, understanding architecture, and I'm a programmer.
Now we had to solder circuit boards in physics too. I don't know if you guys had to do that at all, but like, because we were talking about running things in parallel through resistors and stuff like that. So this circuit board, he made you build one and then hook it up to a power source, because if you didn't build it correctly, it would short out on the board. Yeah, so
that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
AP Physics, we shot Nerf guns and put lasers through water. We did not do anything real.
Ooh, put lasers through water. All right, we're going to get off on a tangent here, but that sounds awesome, by the way. So Alex, what do you want to do with your degree once you get out of Georgia Southern?
So I've always talked to a lot of people about this. I want to start my own business
Okay.
With my hobby of building computers and whatnot, I essentially want to be a better take any online market of computer sales, so Newegg or anything, or a brick and mortar store like oh Lord, I don't even know a good one other than there's Fry's and there's can't even remember the other one because that's how great I think I am. No, but I can't remember the name. But I want to essentially be a better them. I want to have PC consultation where I'm like, all right, somebody walks in, what do you want to do? What is your need for a PC? They tell me, I go ahead and build them one or set them up on a plan to get them started, or just have a section or part of the store where it's just like, all right, you know what you're doing, you know what you want here, RAM is that way, CPUs are that way, graphics cards are that way, go crazy.
Right.
So I would love to do that, and I think I'd probably do that within the next 10 years maybe.
Okay.
After I graduate, but I know that takes time and resources, so
Right.
obviously I have to save up some money for that. So I think I'll go do the whole work for somebody else thing, but I knew that wasn't my thing.
Yeah, like the rest of us, peasants down here. Yeah.
Nah, man, nah. I totally respect what y'all do. I know that's not for me. I can't.
It's hard working for somebody else.
It really is. And it's not that it's that I can't stand it for anything negative or anything. I just know, like, I feel so complacent. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody feels like there's something more. Yeah. And I love being comfortable, but I also love pushing boundaries and, breaking through limits and whatnot. So it's just like, why not?
Right.
Only get one life to do it. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit. Can you pinpoint a singular instance when that entrepreneurial spirit kind of first reared its head?
Whew, that entrepreneurial spirit. Are you referring to when, like, as far as what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, or are you referring to like this in general?
Yeah, not the particular business that you want to shoot towards at this point. When did you first realize that you wanted to be your own boss and set your own goals?
As a kid, I realized that probably when I was 6. And my grandfather, if my grandfather were standing right here, he could tell you that, like, that spirit has always been with me. I always wanted to, I was kind of like, Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy. I was Eddie. I was always trying to, do something. So I would, draw art. And I had a huge, like, art sale in front of his house. There would be times where I would go over for the summer and I had toys that I didn't use. So I would always try to, I put an ad in the newspaper for a yard sale. That was pretty fun. But yeah, so as a kid, that's always been with me. As an adult or, a young professional or what have you, I realized that in my first internship with Norfolk Southern. As I said, I had a great mentor, and, I had him his name is Shola. He's a great man. Very funny. He broke me out of a lot of things that year. But I realized that once I started working for them, I was like sitting in the office every day. And, it's easy to just, do your work. Once you've done your work or whatever, you're just like, all right, you look at everybody and, like, they're hard at work or not doing anything at all. I'm like looking at my supervisor down the way. I'm like, she's not really doing anything or whatever. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is kind of boring.
Yeah.
I don't really like to, sitting down, or I could sit down and do whatever, but this is just not for me. I can't.
Right.
I don't see much growth happening. And, while I am working with the teams for a greater goal, there's just something else that can be done. There's something greater that can be done. So, yeah, I remember I messaged my friends in a group meet, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. I think I just want to, start something on my own and, do my own thing. And one of my friends, he was like, wow, Alex, you've only been in, the corporate field for like X amount of months. And you've already decided you don't want to do this for the rest of your life. Chill out, man. I'm like, yeah,
If you know, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So Taylor, you and I think I've talked about this briefly, but what is your opinion on the matter? Are you comfortable working for somebody else, or do you want to branch out and start something on your own?
I've always toyed with the idea of doing something entrepreneurial. Unlike Alex, haven't have the vision kind of solidify in my head of what kind of business I would want to run. I think I would need that first because I need the passion to secure the funding. And since I don't have the passion and the vision yet, I'm at least comfortable working for somebody else for now. But that's now that I'm out of the position, I can share this. Like, that's a reason why I left my last position is 2 to 3 hours a day. We would have downtime since it was a service-based department. And I'm not content watching YouTube videos on the clock.
Right.
It's my coworkers were, and I just was not.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Yeah. Well, I can't reach out and start my own business or anything right now. That's why I'm searching for new work at this time, because I need something that's going to keep me busy, or I am going to get complacent and I'm going to get antsy and I'm going to want out.
Right. So for me, across the board, I've always been the one to keep busy. Taylor knows this probably better than most people, but like, excuse me, working long hours all the time in my free time. Like, we now have a podcast. We're now talking about starting up an additional portion of this on our YouTube channel where we'll discuss, writing and book reviews and stuff like that. But I'm also writing and working on that. So like I try to keep myself absolutely busy, as busy as possible. And I love being, I love actively working on becoming a better leader, better manager, a better part of the community and stuff like that. So like for me though, the driving factor, and I hate saying this because I'm not at all a money person, I guess. Like if I'm just as happy with no money as I am with lots of money. Not that I've ever had lots of money, but I imagine I've had an okay amount of money and I'm still the same. So for me, it was the moment where I realized that the people I worked for were actually making more money off of me than I was making off of me, right? It wasn't even a 50-50 split. I'm cool, obviously, if I'm going to be working with somebody who's taking the risk, who's putting forth the money and the capital and stuff for us to do what we do. Obviously, they need to make money too. And it's okay, in my opinion, for them to make money off of you because they've got that risk and stuff like that. Where I draw the line is, I'm going to throw out really, really random numbers. If somebody is charging a client $100 an hour for you, and I've looked into all of the insurances and healthcare and Social Security and stuff that they also cover, right, in your pay, because they have a portion that they have to pay of that, and you have a portion you have to pay of that.
Right.
But even with that included, and we're splitting it or whatever, I should be making at least 50 of those dollars an hour, in my opinion. Even though you're going to pull some of that off the top for Social Security and health insurance, I should be at least making half of that, right? And when you start realizing that companies will bill you at $100 and they'll pay you 35, or they'll pay you 30, or whatever, and you realize that, and what's funny is people are like, oh yeah, but you'll get raises, you make more money, but you realize when you do that, they're going to charge that client the more money anyways. So the percentage still remains the fact that they're going to make more money off of you than you're going to make off of yourself. And that's just, it's ridiculous in my opinion. It seems greedy. Like the system seems greedy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, because you got to imagine the higher ups, they're making that money off of you, but they're making that money off of everybody that's sitting around you.
Right.
Right. So, I don't think it would be that difficult to make it a 50-50 split. So like every time I've thought about starting a company, specifically like in construction or whatever, in my mind, whatever the split comes to be, I'm going to pay my employees at least half of what I'm billing them for.
Right.
And that's going to be something that I do. Now I might not end up making as much money at the top, but typically if you're running your own business and your business is successful, you're going to make money regardless.
Exactly.
So it's really, really good. Or you could do like other stuff with it, right? You can take a chunk and say, hey, I'm going to give you 45%, but I'm going to take 45%, and then 10% of that is going to go to charity. I'd be okay with that too if my company was doing stuff like, so or any company, not my company specifically, but like any company. My company treats me very, very well, but it's just across the board. You see that in a lot of places. So that's kind of the moment where I was like, I want to work for myself.
I hear that.
So you've already told us outside the classroom, you're working on computers, you're building computers and stuff like that. So you're building up your repertoire. You've also obviously had an internship with Norfolk Southern. Was that one internship or was it two?
I think it was actually three.
Three. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. So when you get out of school, are you looking to apply there, or has there been any discussions about them bringing you on board full time once you graduate?
While there haven't been this, there was a whole situation going on there that I won't discuss. But I would hope to go back. There wasn't anything wrong with me and them.
Okay.
There was just something with it internally with them, to where I don't know if I can return to the department.
Okay.
Should it exist.
Okay.
So I would love to go back.
Okay.
I think I would definitely have to focus more on hardware and software. So I'd have to dive deeper into these subjects, which I'm already covering.
Working towards it.
Yeah. I'm already covering them in classes, which is really good. So if I return, which I hope I do, I will definitely be looking for them. So I can, hey, I've been with y'all for 3 years. Remember me?
Right.
I was that good guy, bring me in, please. But that's the goal. I would love to do that. If not, I definitely, I have at least that under my belt. I can say, hey,
yeah,
whoever, I worked with Norfolk Southern for 3 years. Oh, Norfolk Southern, okay.
Yeah.
Come on in.
I'm gonna encourage you that on February 5th, I believe is the date, for you to take some time off of work that day and go to the STEM career fair.
Oh, most definitely.
I think that's the date it is at Georgia Southern. I think I'll be back for that. Okay. So I think we'll have a table. But the reason I implore you to do that is when we're sitting at the table, I've done career fairs with the camp we worked at. I won't say the name so that Taylor doesn't have to go back and delete it. But the camp we all worked at. So I've done those, and those are really easy, right? You're just grabbing kids that you think have high charisma. They look like good kids, and obviously I was not as good at it as Kyle or Goody were, because they just somehow miraculously find all these amazing people across the world. I don't get it. It's like the most amazing place. But anyways, so they're good at grabbing those kids. But like when I did my first professional career fair with my company last year, and then again this year with our head of HR, or head of recruiting, he told me what he was looking for, and he told me the program that he uses when he sees people's resumes and stuff like that. And I would tell you that having 3 internships, huge across the board, is definitely something we look at, and we look at like who the people interned with and what their experience was like and what they're looking for. But I mean, we absolutely hire people from career fairs. I mean, at least us as a company. I'm sure other companies do as well. I mean, they invest a lot of money in those career fairs, which I also didn't realize. So you have to pay to have a booth there.
Really?
Yeah. So the people there are serious. They don't want to waste money, right? So it kind of gives you a different perspective, right? Because I didn't know that people had to pay for those booths either, and I didn't realize that they invested money in like all this stuff that's behind the scenes that goes into looking for a new employee. And so I implore you to go to that. And I'll tell you that even if Norfolk Southern does not hire you, the fact that you have 3 internships with a really good company, that's going to speak wonders. So definitely keep that in mind. I would take time off work and go to that in February. So
I will.
Taylor, for you, did you happen to do any internships or co-ops?
No, I was about to say you've got a leg up on most people having 3. That is higher than I usually hear. I actually have 0, and that has set me back in the job search.
Yep.
Is camp was my only IT experience, and it was great that I had 3 contracts that added up to a full year of experience.
Hmm.
But only having service and retail jobs on my resume as jobs has really set me back. So you've really got a leg up on the competition.
Yeah, I treated my time at camp, the last time I was there as a tribal leader. Goody actually treated that as a management internship,
Nice.
which helped me out. But I would say that me not having any construction experience, so like there's a lot of construction companies. I didn't realize construction companies even had co-ops and interns because I never once went to a career fair. So I'm telling you from experience, you should go to them because I
Will
didn't.
do.
So when I started out in the field, you know, they made me travel 2 states away to work on this job, and I had an engineering degree, and I made as much money as they were per an hour as they were paying local people to stand with fire extinguishers as a fire watch.
What?
Nothing against that job because it's probably one of the more important jobs on the job site. So that just tells you that they're also underpaid. But their job is literally they stand with a fire extinguisher all day in areas where you have hot work going on, so like welding and stuff like that.
Mm.
So they just stand there. And if you have a good project, they'll never once have to use that fire extinguisher. So they're standing there as like a backup preventative measure in case a fire starts.
Right.
So I was making as much money as them, and I was helping manage projects, scheduling, dealing with money, dealing with man hours, you know, whatever you want to, turn over package to the owner, presenting to the owner. But because I had no experience, that's what they paid me. That piece of paper that said I was a civil engineer did not matter. So having internships and experience that's in your field, that will help you a lot.
Now, rolling back a ways, you said that you do streaming as a hobby. Do you ever plan to build that audience and that platforms to tie into your small business goals?
I've definitely thought about it. I'm not gonna lie and say that I haven't. But in all honesty, I think I want to keep them as separate entities. Because essentially what I want to do with this platform, my personal goal is to build up a following, and I want to be as influential as, Markiplier or Corey Kenshin or people that use the platform for good. And by that I mean I would love to do fundraisers, like fundraisers for charity. Not fundraisers. Yeah, I used the wrong word. Charity live streams and whatnot. I would love to do that. That's always been something that I've admired out of people that I watch. Is that the community that they build up is so full of love, and just getting that community and that manpower to go and, not donate to me, but donate it to somebody or something that has need, that actually needs it, is a beautiful thing to me. I've always admired that. I've always participated when I can in those charity events, and it's just something beautiful. So I would love to build that up, and I have thought about it. Should my business get to a certain level, I'm like, do I even want to mix the two? I'm like, nah, I'll probably, in all honesty, use both of them to do the same thing, but I don't think I'd ever want to mix them. It just seems like too much, I could have my business sponsor, the event or whatever, or what have you, but I don't think I'll ever like, hey, Plug and Players was brought to you by such and such, buy this computer, use such and such promo code, get such and such off. Nah, in all honesty, I probably just like use it. If anything, I probably use it as a giveaway. All right, we're doing a giveaway. Take this computer. That's it. But other than that, I don't really see those things mixing.
The only positive of mixing those things around is you can do your own ad spots. You just like turn to another camera, put on a hat, do a commercial, and then turn back.
This, one second, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be absolutely hilarious.
I think about it now, Taylor. You know what? I get that. I'll get on. I'll think about that. I'll definitely. Now
Okay.
I'm gonna call you.
So now that you've talked about your platform for nonprofit and your potential business opportunities, between those two, what motivates you to be successful? What drives you to do both personal and professional work that you find engaging?
Honestly, you guys are what. When I mention family, I always talk about the friends that I've acquainted. That I've gotten to know. That know me. I never really associate with anybody that's that I don't want to say I don't like, but that I just don't vibe with. But my family, that's my best friends, people that I love, that I have genuine concern for, and my actual family, obviously. But that's what motivates me to get up and go out and be great. There's just, it's something whenever you think you're out in the world alone and you have to do it by yourself. And I'm not saying that I rely on people, but it's crazy how people just pop up in your life when you need them most, or not even when you need them most. Like, they pop up in your life and you just your friends or your best friends. And later down the road, they're like, hey, I'm in such and such position, I can help you out. Or, hey, I know you're trying to reach this goal, let me help you get there. Countless times I've had friends help me out. So it's a blessing, in all honesty, to have people support me. So that's what drives me, because I personally want to be the one that's like, let me show you what you've invested in. You've invested in me, so now it's time for me to, do my part and go out and be great. So whenever I go out and do stuff, I might clown around or whatever. And y'all know my personality. I'm always all smiles or what have you. But when it's time to put the nose to the grindstone, I make sure I get it done. And I work my hardest. There are times where, I'm not perfect. There are times where I falter, or, I might forget. My memory is pretty shoddy. I'm not going to lie. But when I'm committed to something, I'm going to do it. Like, it might take some time. If I say, it'll take a month and it takes 2 to 3 months, I know that sounds bad, but, at least know that I was thinking about it. So I'm still committed to getting that goal. I'm just, there's life happens, so stuff gets delayed, but I'm committed to it, and I'll work my hardest on it. I'll put my all into it. And sometimes I get in a lot of trouble for that. Especially with my wife, I'll work on something, whether it be for this stream or what have you. And she's like, you spending a lot of time on this, you're on the computer a lot. I'm like, yeah, but there are people that, invested in this, or, I feel obligated to go ahead and do better, make this experience better, or show them that, hey, I'm improving, or what,
Yeah.
It's just it's a whole thing where I'm like, all right, I want to show people what they've invested in.
Right. And there's a lot of people. So first of all, nobody can make it anywhere alone.
No.
At all.
No.
And what's cool about what you just said is it was very honest. And there are plenty of people out there who have been helped, and they push that underneath the rug, or try and sweep it out the way and say, like, I made it here all by myself, and it's not there. You definitely should be proud of your accomplishments, but it's a breath of fresh air that there are people out there who are still like, I made it here for sure, and there was effort that I absolutely had to put into this. And
Mm-hmm.
You can even say, like, I don't think other people, or not many people, could do what I do, but you absolutely also have to say, like, my family was there every step of the way. And I'm the same way as you. My family is you guys as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ruben, who was our first guest, is on my couch right now. And his brother Randy, who's going to be our next guest, is in my guest room right now. And they're my family, absolutely 100%. You know, we're all family. We're all in it together. And if anyone can help each other get to a higher point, we're all reaching that higher point. You know,
Right.
it's like when Alex Jackson succeeds, we all succeed. Yeah, exactly. So it's really nice that you gave a very honest answer. And it's very nice that you were honest about timelines, because life does happen.
Yeah.
And I think people should realize, you know, a lot of people quit
Mm-hmm.
because they set a deadline and they don't hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, I didn't hit my deadline. I can't do this.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. What people need to realize, like you said, is, hey, I can be committed to something and set a goal and set a deadline. And without knowing all the information and without going through it, I mean, you're not going to be able to tell what's going to happen next week, right? You can't tell the future. So without knowing that, there's going to be times in life where you trip. There's going to be times in life where you don't hit a goal, but you got to keep on going, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you set a goal to be done in 5 months, but it takes you a year to finish, don't focus on the fact that you didn't reach your goal. Focus on the fact that, holy shit, I finished.
You're
Like,
right.
I don't think enough people pat themselves on the back for finishing when they finish late. And I really think they should, because what you don't want to do is say, I didn't do it in this little chunk of time. I am now never going to do it. I mean, imagine that in life, right? Okay, I didn't wake up at 7 o'clock this morning, and I needed to wake up at 7 o'clock to make it to work on time. Do you go into work late, or do you just go back to bed and miss work the whole day? You get up and you go to work, right?
Right.
Just like everybody else in the world, right? You're still going to get up and go to work, and yeah, you're going to get chastised for being late, right? In most places, but you still go to work.
Right.
Treat your goals like that, right? If you oversleep and you miss your deadline, are you just going to quit, or do you get up and you keep chugging along to try and reach that deadline? Or, you know, set a new deadline and set a more realistic one next time, because maybe you didn't give yourself enough time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I think what you said I mean, it hits it right there on the head, because that was a great analogy that someone told me once upon a time, and I think it makes sense. You know, if you oversleep, are you just not going to go to work today? You know, and most people will say, no, I'm going to go into work, but I'm going to be late, you know?
Right. Right.
So,
I think more oftentimes than not that we, you know, there are certain situations where the phrase applies. Is, you know, it's not the journey, it's the destination. There are times where it is in fact the destination, not the journey, because a lot of people don't necessarily like. Yeah, you know, I had a lot of fun along the way, leading up to this point, but there are some people that, you know, that don't have a lot of fun reaching their destination. It's an arduous journey. Like it's a trial and tribulation that you have to go through. So people are more focused on the journey rather than what their destination is. It gets discouraging. I'm not gonna lie, and I've been through that. You know, I'm still in school, so 24 years old, and you know, I wasn't able to pay for school for like a whole year. So and I would always get my hopes up, you know, trying to apply for loans and whatnot, and wouldn't get approved. So what ended up happening was, you know, I would go to school for like the first 2 weeks, hoping I would get approved for the loan. It'll fall through, and I'm like, okay. So those classes that I were, you know, the classes that I were in would, you know, just get dropped.
right.
So it was discouraging. It hurt. I was just like, all right, while my roommates are going to class, I'm like sitting at home, I'm like, all right, you know, I gotta go to work at like 10. So, you know, everybody's going out for these 8 a.m.s. Bless their souls for doing 8 a.m.s, but you know, it was real discouraging. And, you know, I beat myself up about it a lot because, you know, everybody, not knocking my mom, no disrespect to my mom. My mom was a big advocate for, you know, 4 years. So me switching majors and then this happening, it wasn't that, I will never say that she gave up on me. It was just that she was just a little disappointed, I'll say.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love my mom, but that was always ingrained in my head was like 4 years, or at least 5 years, at the most 5 years, I'll say.
Right.
So once that threshold, started to look closer and closer, as the deadline was approaching, 5 years, I'm like stressed. And I started working, and I thought I was making good money. So I was like, you know what, maybe this is just me. College isn't for everybody. Well, I was ready to give up. And I'm glad I didn't, because like I said, I had people behind me that reminded me. I would talk to my grandparents every day. I love my grandfathers. I love my grandparents. And just that, I know I definitely wanted to do it for them more than anybody, because, one, I love them, and two, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So it's something I would love them to see. They might see it now. Now that I'm doing great things, they might see it now, wherever they are. But more so than anything, I wanted to see them in person, be proud. I talked to my grandfather probably about 3 months ago, and I think I cried on the phone because I was like, Papa, I graduate, I might be graduating this spring. He's like, I'm so, that's great. Just let me know when to come down. I'm like, yeah, it's just going to be a hard year. He was like, that's fine. I was like, yeah, I know it's fine. I'm just a little scared. I just want you to be proud of me. And he was like, Alec, I've always been proud of you. I was like, he's like, I've always been proud of you. You made it so far. And, now you're about to go on and be great. You have a wife, you have this, that, and the third. So, just go and be great. Finish. Do it. I've always been proud of you. Don't think I'm proud of you after the fact.
Right.
I've been proud of you since, day one when you stepped foot on the campus. When you stepped foot in high school, I was proud of you. I was like, man, I know, but, now I got to do this, this for you for real. So, it's just crazy that, it's so easy to get discouraged on the journey. I know I went off on a whole tangent, but
no, it's a great story.
To bring it back, everybody's journey is not the same, obviously.
Right.
Everybody goes through different trials and tribulations, and that's to help you grow. But just because everybody has different outcomes is what I guess I'm trying to say. Not everything is, oh yeah, the journey was great. That thing sucked back there, but
right.
Now I'm, it's easy to say that, but actually going through it is kind of hard. Where more people are focused on that destination than they are this journey. They just want to get through this. Like I know at some point I was just like, please, please move me.
Right.
But yeah, definitely. That journey and the destination.
This is where you'll grow the most, though. So that's the other thing that people don't realize. And we had a speaker yesterday at the conference I was at, and he was talking about conflict and being out of your comfort zone is the area where you as a human being grow the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
If everything was easy, handed to you on a silver platter, and you ate with a silver spoon, and you didn't have to work hard, or you didn't have to face any sort of trials and tribulations, you don't grow as a person. You're the same person you were at point A as you are at point B, okay? And if you start off being an extraordinary human being, which is very rarely the case, then you'll be an extraordinary human being when you get to point B as well. But the trick is those diamonds in the rough, right? When you start off as a piece of coal, and then through all the pressure, trials, tribulations, you become a diamond at the end. And I know that's a overused talking point there, but yeah, it's absolutely, you're going to grow as a human being, and you're going to, Alex, be at that point in your life where you realize, you want to be an entrepreneur, and starting that business is going to be really difficult, and you are going to set deadlines for yourself. But what you're going to realize is, hey, I'm going to work my absolute hardest to hit this deadline. But if I don't hit this deadline, guess what? I've missed deadlines in the past, and I still succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't graduate when I thought I wanted to graduate, but I graduated.
Right.
And what's crazy is, in the grand scheme of things, somebody the other day passed away in our area that was 103 years old. So if you graduate in 6 years or 6.5 years versus 4, okay, that's 2.5 years of your life. If you live to be 100, that's 2.5% of your life.
Right.
It is absolutely minuscule, and it is absolutely not a big deal. And people get bent out of shape about that, because right now, as a 24-year-old, 2.5 years of your life is a substantial amount of your life.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you'll hopefully live a very healthy life and be on earth for a long time, and you'll realize that 2 years of your life will go by in the flash of an eye, and it's not a whole lot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to keep those memories, and you'll be able to keep, you know, all of your lessons learned and stuff like that. But it's not as big of a deal as a lot of people make it out to be.
Right.
So
Yeah. And that's one thing I definitely had to learn. And my mother-in-law actually brought it to my attention. Not necessarily that analogy, which that's a great perspective to put it in. She was just like, everybody finishes at their own pace. It's not it's not a race type
Right.
thing, but I guess coming from somebody different, it's just like, you know what, you're right. She was like, it's not a rush. Like, what are you rushing for?
right.
What are
Right.
you rushing for? Take your time, do well.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I was like, oh, I could take, y'all both know, I could take 15 to 18 hours and make it in so-and-so and,
Right.
be out here in no time. Just like, take your time, take 12 classes. And, at first it sounded absurd. Like, I was like, do you not know I'm trying to get out now?
Right.
And go be great.
Yeah.
But, it was like, what are you rushing for?
Right.
Is there an opportunity that's lined up for you right now? You have to finish. I'm like, well, no, but I just want to finish. She was like, take your time, slow
Right.
down. If you got to take a semester off, that's fine. If you got to take 2 off, that's even greater.
Right.
Take your time to recuperate, and then when you come back, hit it hard.
Yeah.
But don't hit it too hard where you burn yourself out.
Right. I'm gonna touch on 2 things you said there that she said. So the first thing, I want to absolutely commend you for taking a year off of school and coming back. I'm telling you, how many people, I know a handful of people from our class that I'm gonna take a year off and then I'm gonna go to school, right?
Mhm.
Never went to school, or I'm gonna take a year off in the middle of school and never went back to school. So first of all, I commend you for that, and anyone else out there who has to take a year off of school, especially for financial needs, right?
Man,
So
yeah.
I can tell you right now, I went through the same thing in my master's program. Okay, They offered me a free ride, and then I show up 2 weeks into classes. They're like, "Yo, all these student fees." I'm like, "No, I'm here for free." And they're like, "No, scholarship doesn't cover, your student fees." It's like $1,200, and I was like, "What 21-year-old has $1,200 sitting around?" "Oh, well, you can get a grant." I'm like, "Okay, you're telling me on a Friday, and I've got to pay it on Monday. What 21-year-old can apply and get a grant in a day?" "Oh, well, you can take out a loan from a bank." What bank is going to give a 21-year-old $1,200? I didn't have a job, right? So it was like same situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there, and I'll never look back. I got a job and started working, and eventually one day I do want to get my master's degree. I primarily want to get it around the time I retire, because I would love to be a part-time professor for engineering once I retire, way down the line. So that's a future goal, but for me, that's like a 35, 40-year goal. So I've got plenty of time. I've set a realistic deadline for that. I do that whenever,
Right.
But it's so that was the first thing. I commend you for coming back. But the rushing aspect of it that she was getting at, me and Denzel could have graduated in 3.5 years. Okay. And we set ourselves up for that by, I took 18 hours or got approval to take 19 hours every semester for like my first 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So then they sat down with us and they're like, you could take 18 hours and 20 hours and get it approved, and you could be done in 3.5 years. And that would have saved us a semester's worth of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were like, absolutely we love school. And we were in ASC, and our competition was in the spring anyways. So we're like, we're gonna graduate in the spring. We'll do it in 4 years. We'll take 12 hours, and just keep on going like that. And it was nice. You got to relax a little bit at the end of your time there. But I will absolutely say that, like, I'd go back to college tomorrow. Like you get out here, and I know it's different for you, but for a lot of students, like, I know you're paying bills and stuff like that, but for a lot of students, they're not paying bills. It's student loans that are carrying those bills, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so if the financials are there and you can keep borrowing money that you're going to have to pay back later, right? But it's like, college was great. I loved the journey, like you were talking about earlier in college.
Yeah.
And then you get out and you realize, oh, well, now I don't have 18 hours worth of classes. I have 60 hours worth of work. And, sometimes I get to have both days on the weekend off, but not always, and it's funny because you start looking at it like that and you're like, man, college was easy. Like, I want to go back to college. Like,
Right, well.
So absolutely enjoy it because you'll get out and you'll miss it. I guarantee.
Man, okay, so on those two subjects, that year, because that almost happened to me, that instance where you said some people don't return, that almost happened to me.
Yeah.
I just got a new job. I was working at Krispy Kreme. Thought I was making some good money because I used to make minimum wage, so I was making $10. I was really feeling myself.
Yeah.
I worked there for about a year. Yeah, basically about a year, and I was just like, I could do this. I could work at this. Even find a greater job. Wasn't even thinking about going back to school. I was just like, wow, this isn't that bad. This is pretty easy. Just wake up at whatever time, go to work, come home, chill. That seems so easy. Well, why not do this? And then I guess I kind of like, internally you're just like, wait a minute, let me think about this. This isn't really me. I realized I already hate being complacent. So, as I described, I don't want to work in a corporate office forever. So I was just like, wait a minute, I'm still working for somebody. I don't want to do this for real. What are you talking about? Like, there was like two Alexes just conversing between each other. Like, this isn't you.
Right.
Who are you to actually want to be complacent and work here? Fast food for all,
Yeah.
Fast food. Why do you think this is okay? And I'm not saying that it's not okay, but for me, it's not okay.
Right.
I have people, like I said, people are behind me. I'm like, this is a nice pit stop. I could kind of stay here forever.
Yeah.
I could do this. But I'm glad that I kind of like shocked myself into it. Then I had another best friend of mine. He would always, he kept me motivated. His name is Daniel. He's still my roommate now, actually. Shout out to Daniel if you ever watch this, which I'm gonna make him watch it so he knows. I give him his credit. Daniel was going to school that year, and every day he would come to my room and he'd be like, "What did you do today?" And it wasn't he wasn't talking about work. He was like, "What have you done to improve your skills, to be to better yourself?" And at first I would just kind of like, I would just lie. I would be like, "Oh, well, I'm working on this PowerShell thing. I'm doing this, that, and the third." I wasn't really doing that until it wasn't until probably like the second week he would be like, "What are you doing? What have you done today?" He'd be like, "I learned this, that, and the third." And I'm like, "Man, that's so cool." Yeah. So what have you done today? All right, you know what? I'm gonna get on this. That way I'm gonna have something.
Yeah.
So shout out to him because he was definitely that voice that kept me motivated throughout that time because it was dark.
Can I ask what his major is?
Oh man, he's a physics major.
Whoa. Okay. So I was absolutely thinking and I don't know, Taylor, you might have been thinking this too, but like I was thinking like sociology, like he was like reading you like a book.
Mm-mm.
Okay, okay.
Mans was spitting straight physics to me, and I was just like, oh. But yeah, physics major. He's a great. He's definitely been he's definitely been great. All my family is great. So it was. I needed that. He was that one. He was there when I needed him most, and I didn't even know I needed him.
Yeah.
I can't remember the second subject. What did we just talk about?
So we was talking about not rushing through the journey as well.
Not rushing through the journey as well. I had another.
If
I had something else where I can't remember.
If you think of it, hop on it. No worries.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's those people and those moments in your life. You'll remember those forever, right? The people that told you to keep going. Like there was times where like I didn't have no food. I had a jar of peanut butter in our pantry, and I was the type of person that like if I didn't help contribute to the groceries in the house, I wasn't eating the groceries in the house. So I thought I was safe. It's early in the morning. I was about to go work out. I ate 2 tablespoons of peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
So I just spoon in the jar. I'm eating
Mm-hmm.
peanut butter. Randy comes down the stairs and he said, What are you doing? I was like, eating peanut butter. He's like, why don't you make you a sandwich? I was like, I didn't help buy the bread or the jam. And he's like, if you don't get in there and make you a sandwich like right now, that's it. Like I will force you to eat it. He's like, you better get in there and make you a sandwich. And like that always sticks in my mind. And then like when I was going through what I was going through, that's the 2 weeks of the master's program, I then had to like find a job. And Denzel, who will be on the show later, he was trying to get me a job with him, and that was like my best opportunity at that time. So I was working at Jimmy John's and Pizza Hut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ruben and Randy and Zach and Mascana were like, you can stay on the couch, you can help with like the power bill, and we worked some things out. But it was like those are the moments that like I'll remember forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it takes, they always say it takes a village to raise somebody, but it takes a village to get people out of situations. It takes a village to get people on the right path and down the road,
Very much so.
So it's awesome. And some people don't have those support systems, and that's very, very unfortunate. And there are people who have made it by themselves, but very few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody helped them along the way. So I think we're at the point in the show where we're going to ask you first, to date, what have been like, what's your most successful moment so far in your life?
Successful
outside of being married, because from a married person, I can tell you that has to be your number one answer.
I was about to say that. I'm not gonna lie. I was well, it's about to be. It's being married. Outside of that, I think I talked to my cousins yesterday.
Okay.
And I have always been kind of the older cousin. I was one of the older cousins. I think I have a cousin older than me now. She's about to be in her 30s. But other than that, it's been me and my other cousin who's like same age as me, or what have you. We've been the kind of like big brother types in the family. His little brothers are my brothers. Our girl cousin, our female cousin is our little sister.
Right.
They just want my little sister has just gone to college.
All right.
She's there on I believe a softball scholarship, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
I am glad where I'm in the position to offer her any and every little bit of knowledge that I can.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got off the phone. I was on the phone with my cousins yesterday. I called my grandpa, just to check in on him. And he gives them the phone. They sound like grown men. They're in the 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think it's a thing that we take for granted, where we have this knowledge, and people that do pass on their knowledge, I encourage you to keep doing that. My dad, my stepdad, but I love him like my father, my original father. Love my original father too. So I love having two dads. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. He always told me that, he was glad to have somebody to pass this knowledge on to. It's not even I guess it's a personal accomplishment to me, right, where I am happy that I'm in such a position to offer this knowledge. Like, I'm still going through it.
Right.
So I feel like while I might not be there financially to help you yet,
right,
I can at least give you some word of advice, because I'm 9 times out of 10 have been through it.
Yeah. And that's sometimes the most important part. You can get money from people you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
What you can't get is that information and knowledge from somebody who sat in your seat. And it helps to come from somebody you know and already trust, or it helps to come from somebody who's literally been in the same exact chair as you, right? Like, went to the same high school as you or the same college as you. But if you don't have that, if you have a level of trust, like obviously your cousins and you guys, talk a lot and stuff like that, having that level of trust, they're going to listen to you,
Right.
My niece called me 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. It was during their first week of classes at College of Charleston. And she called and she was like, hey, I've got these questions about my classes and stuff like that. And I was uber excited that she called me. I was like, yes, all right, cool. And then I was like, absolutely, I'll give you the best advice I can give you. And I always followed up with, you're gonna make mistakes, and I'm not gonna be able to give you all the information, right? But as long as you make educated decisions and learn from your mistakes, you'll be fine. And I'm in the same boat as you. I'm so excited. Right. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrific. Like, it's almost like she's my own kid, right? But she's my niece, and it feels great, So that's awesome. I think you're the first person where your most successful moment was more of like somebody around you achieving success.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It's definitely something, because I feel like, I can do plug and plays, the stream. Yeah, that's successful. It's not necessarily where I want it to be, but it's something that I've had the courage to step out and do.
Right.
That's something else, I guess. I'm very proud of myself for. Not necessarily that I have this channel and the community is growing, but the fact that I have the courage to actually put it to action.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, we have ideas, we just don't act on them.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to be like, oh yeah, $1 million idea.
Right. Put it on the board.
So yeah. Let's put that on for later, or that doesn't really seem reachable right now. So let me throw that away or whatever. So I'm glad that I can do that. I'm glad that I can be of some use to, as a resource. I can be a resource to family, friends, or what have you. It's great.
Yeah. I don't know if Taylor feels the same way, but I feel the same way about the podcast. Like, we talked about it like once, and then we're like, all right, let's get a guest on here and record. Like, it was just like that, because we knew if we got it going, we would keep it going. And it does, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. We could have put out that first episode and like 5 people could have watched it. I was super excited that 70 people watched that first episode. Man. And I was like, holy crap! Like, it's amazing. Across multiple platforms, but it's pretty impressive.
It does speak to, it took a lot of ideas to get us to that first successful one. Between the two of us, we probably pitched a dozen podcast ideas before we found one that we wanted to get a guest on and run with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I still think we should do a Dungeons and Dragons podcast at some point.
There's just so many of them out there. I feel like it's oversaturated.
No, I agree.
Please let me know. I don't even care if it's a podcast, because I slick have been missing Dungeons and Dragons ever since camp. I'm not gonna lie.
Alex, I got a spot on my table. Talk to me afterwards.
I bet.
Awesome. All right, so this is the part of the episode. I'm gonna let Taylor take it away. where we get to the last couple of questions that we ask every episode.
Okay.
Sure. So pivoting off of your successful moment and feeling that gratification of giving advice, if you could look backwards in time and give advice to your middle school self and your senior and high school self, knowing what you do now and the different things that you've overcome and achieved, what would you tell yourself at that formative and senior and high school level?
Man, all right. Rewind the clock back all the way back to middle school. Middle school. I was doing well in middle school academically. Socially, I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't too social. I would say, your parents will say, you don't hang around your friends. You have friends where you're like, don't hang around them or what have you. I feel like I should have been more outgoing socially, because those same cats that you saw in middle school transition over to high school. So you're just keeping to yourself, which is not bad, but you don't have a relationship with them. Like, at least know of them,
Right.
so that when, not necessarily when you need them, but when you're in those social moments, you can interact. Because there were a lot of times leading into high school where I was by myself. Like, I was like, all right, everybody's out here in groups doing their own thing. And, I could walk up to a group and be like, hey, what's going on, guys? And they'd be like, who is this kid? Like, what is he doing? But instead of that, I would just like go to like the band room and just chill by myself. And I mean, that's not bad, to each his own. And I turned out great. I just wish I was more social. Definitely, I would tell myself, listen to my mom. My mom will never steer you wrong. Because there were a lot of times where I went against her word, and that ended up getting me in trouble. Obviously, I was a hard-headed kid, so I would, see in the future me, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right, all right. As far as high school, so many things. You said senior year in high school?
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, senior year in high school, beginning of the year, I'm gonna act like I'm taking multiple trips back in time. Beginning of senior year. Study. Because I almost didn't make it out of high school. I almost failed two classes. And they were AP classes because I didn't take them seriously. I didn't take them seriously enough to do the homework or study. And I was very fortunate that my high school had a retest policy where I could come in after school or come in after school, study with the teacher, and then take the test whenever I felt like it. I was very fortunate for that, because if that never happened, I wouldn't have graduated, and I probably wouldn't be here. So I would tell him to study, take things more seriously, because in all actuality, that transitions over to college.
Right.
My freshman year, I played around because I didn't learn my lesson. So definitely study. If you really love doing what you do, show it. And not necessarily towards that subject. Like, I was in marching band. Loved marching band. Still do. It's a great thing. It's just not for me right now. That time has gone. That time has passed. But I didn't have the grades for that. So along with studying, I never got that. If you want to do this, you need to put in a little time somewhere else. If you want to get something, you need to give something somewhere else.
Right.
So as a result, I was in marching band for the first part of that year, but my grades started falling as a result of me not studying and doing homework. So my mom took me out. She was like, no more marching band. And we competed. we were a competitive marching band in high school, which is crazy.
Oh wow.
So I had a spot in the competition, and without me, there was a hole in the form. So it was just like, I'm not only getting affected by this, everybody is getting affected by this. And now they're going to have to adjust or, not fill the form at all and take points off or whatever. So I had to really, bust my tail just to show my mom. And she, I didn't like her at that, it's
Right. Right.
why are you doing this to me type thing.
Right.
I didn't like it, but it was just like, now that I look back on it, it's like, she did what she was supposed to. She was
Right.
She was damn good at that. Like,
Yeah.
she did what she had to do. And my band director would reach out to her, and he was a great man. He was like, please let your son compete for this. I understand the situation. And he would look at me and be like, you need to get your stuff together. And it wasn't even you can tell when people are in it for not for them necessarily for themselves, but for other things. He was definitely one of those people that was like, you need to do better, not only for us, but for yourself, because you're too smart to be doing this. You're too great to be doing this.
Right.
And I would definitely go back and be like, you might not listen to me now, but
yeah,
please do this.
Yeah.
Because, XYZ. In all honesty, now that I think about it, I don't even think I'd need to go back a second and third time in my senior year, just because that was one of my main problems was, just study, because it all translates over to college. Because college, like I said, I goofed around. I didn't take it seriously. I was like, all right, let me wipe my brow. I made it out of that tough situation, so let me go out here and live my best life.
Right. And you have more free time too.
Man.
You're not even forced to be in class all day.
Not forced to be in class all day. I believe, because I was still in marching band, I was like, I'm going to do this marching band thing. I love it. And I get to travel. That sounds great. So I would take my classes. I was a mechanical engineer at the time. And I knew calculus just because I took AP Calc, so I kind of glided right by and didn't really have to study. So I was like, oh yeah, this is easy. This is what college is. I got this. Calc 2 hit, I was a goner. I was a goner. And same with physics, because I didn't really learn anything with physics. I just I think I made it by the skin of my teeth in AP Physics. And so that allowed me to just make a C, and I was like, all right, I'm good. I still have a 3.8. I'm fine. Came to Georgia Southern, took physics. I was like, oh yeah, this ain't it, Chief. So I think I made a D. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this again. Easy. I'm gonna take the same teacher, so I know, so I know the tests and everything.
Right. Same
result, because I didn't study. And he didn't even assign homework, which was
it's a double-edged blade there.
It's a double-edged blade, because he did assign problems. He just didn't grade them.
Right.
He would say, go through the book, work these problems, any and every problem you want. Come to class with some questions on how to work these problems. And if you haven't worked any problems, don't ask me any questions. So I was just like, all right, I don't even have to, work any problems. Let me just let everybody else ask their questions, and I'll just learn from that. And no, that's not how it works, because I went on to get D's in physics for the next 2 semesters, until my mom was like, something's not right.
Yeah.
You need to figure out your life, because I'm not ashamed of it. I lost Hope Scholarship.
Yeah.
You need to get your life together, because you done lost hope now, and I'm not paying for your college.
It's sad when they say you've lost hope.
Man, I'm like, no.
they could name it something different. So if you happen to lose it, they're not like, now you've lost all hope. It's yeah.
Man, I always found that phrase funny. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, long story short, all those study skills and everything that I would have developed my senior year would have translated over to
Right.
now. And I would say I wish I could go back and change it. But now, even thinking about that, I'm kind of glad that, everything happened, because I wouldn't have learned it the hard way, and I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Right.
I wouldn't have those same experiences.
Right. That's what people always ask, like, what would you go back and change about your life? And that's honestly why I've never put that question on here, primarily because I am who I am today
Because of what has transpired in the past.
because of every little thing in the past. So, and I like who I am today. So probably the best version of myself today. So, and a lot of that comes with just experience,
Mm-hmm.
When you start going back and wanting to change things, you realize that you're changing them without having the experience that really reinforces that change. Right. So,
Right.
all right, Taylor, you want to take us away?
Yeah, close it out. Is it possible to encapsulate Alex Jackson in 3 words to send us off? Who are you still down to just a couple of words?
So just 3 words.
We've given
That's
up to
so
6
hard.
before. The bank is a little bit open.
Yeah. It's not a hard and fast rule.
Okay. 6. Happy, loving, giving, hardworking, persistent. Did I already say loving?
You did. But it would make so much sense if anyone knows Alex Jackson. He is one of the most loving people that you'll ever meet. That's a true statement.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thanks for joining us today. It has been a fantastic hour and a half. It's flown by.
Yeah. I will. I'll make sure that whenever we post this podcast, we'll have links to Alex's plug-in players and anything else that he's working on currently. We'll have some links to that stuff. So.
Thank you all for joining us on this episode of No Universal Answers to the Universe, and we'll see you next time. No Universal Answers to the Universe is an interview series by Taylor Hall and Kenneth Gibbons, which releases on YouTube and all podcast platforms every Monday. If you have any questions or would be interested in being a guest on the show, please contact us at nouniversalanswers@gmail.com or via our Instagram page at no_universal_answers. Thank you for listening and have a great night.